Picture yourself sitting by a window, the early morning sunlight glinting off a steaming cup of coffee in your hands. At 63, life has shifted in a way you never expected. Divorce. The word lands heavy, like a stone dropped into a still lake, sending ripples that seem to stretch forever. But right now, you have a chance to reshape everything, starting with your mind. Dr. Carol Dweck, in her groundbreaking book Mindset, said, "In a growth mindset, challenges are exciting rather than threatening. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the author of your next chapter." Think of it like tidying a cluttered room. Your mind, after divorce, might be crowded with fragments of memories, regrets, and self-doubt, but you can choose to sort through it. Psychologists call this cognitive restructuring, a concept pioneered by Aaron Beck in the 1970s, the founder of cognitive behavioral therapy. He wrote, "By changing the way we perceive a situation, we can change how we feel about it. You start by facing the truth. Divorce isn't the end. It's a new beginning. You don't deny the pain. It's real, like the chill of the floor under your feet in the morning, but you can choose to step past it. Imagine holding a notebook. Each day, you jot down one thought that's holding you back. Maybe, I'm too old to start over, or I've failed. Then you cross it out and write a new truth. I have the wisdom to build a better life." This isn't fluffy nonsense. Beck's research showed that people practicing cognitive restructuring for 12 weeks saw significant reductions in depressive symptoms. You're training your mind like an athlete trains their muscles. Here's a quirky detail. In the 19th century, divorce in places like England was so rare it often required an act of parliament. One man reportedly spent thousands of pounds to end his marriage, just because society deemed it unthinkable. Lucky for you, you live in a time where personal freedom is valued, giving you the power to reshape your life. Historians still debate whether divorce in later life increases loneliness or sparks self-discovery. Studies from the University of Michigan in the 1990s found that people divorcing after 50 often found new independence, especially when they focus on building a positive mindset. You don't have to believe it all right away. Just take one small step. Today, you choose to see pain as a teacher, not an enemy. Picture yourself stepping away from that window now, the sunlight feeling warmer on your skin. You take a deep breath, the cool air filling your lungs. Your mindset is shifting little by little. You're not just surviving, you're learning to thrive. And in this journey, you'll find that belief, which you thought was lost, is waiting for you to reclaim it. You're standing in front of a mirror now, the morning light casting soft shadows across your reflection. The person staring back at you carries the weight of 63 years. Decades of love, loss, and lessons. Divorce has shaken the foundation of who you thought you were, but it hasn't broken you. It's time to rebuild, not just your life, but your belief in yourself. Dr. Nathaniel Branden, in his seminal work, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, wrote, "Self-esteem is the reputation we acquire with ourselves." You're not starting from scratch. You're rediscovering the strength that's been there all along. Belief doesn't come from grand gestures. It grows in quiet moments, like the sound of your footsteps on a familiar path. After divorce, doubt can feel like a constant companion, whispering that you're not enough. But you can choose to talk back. Branden's research, grounded in decades of psychological study, shows that self-esteem is built through small, deliberate acts of self-acceptance. You start by acknowledging your worth, not as someone tied to a past relationship, but as an individual with stories, skills, and dreams. Try this. Stand a little taller, feel the ground beneath your feet, and say to yourself, "I am enough." It feels strange at first, like trying on a new coat, but it fits better with time. Here's a truth from history. In the 1960s, when divorce rates began rising in the U.S., studies showed that women over 50 who rebuilt their self-esteem after divorce often reported higher life satisfaction than those who stayed in unhappy marriages. This wasn't about money or status. It was about believing they deserved better. You're part of that legacy, standing at a crossroads where belief can lead you forward. And here's something odd. In Victorian England, some women used divorce as a bargaining chip, threatening it to gain more autonomy in their marriages, even though actual divorces were rare. It was a bold move in a world that rarely gave them power. You, too, have power now. not to bargain, but to choose who you want to become. Scholars still debate whether self-esteem drives resilience or if resilience builds self-esteem. A 1989 study from the University of California suggested that people who actively worked on self-acceptance after major life changes, like divorce, were more likely to thrive in their later years. You don't need to solve that debate. You just need to take one step toward believing in your own value. Maybe it's signing up for that art class you always wanted to try, or simply cooking a meal you love, savoring each bite as a reminder that you're worth caring for. Feel the warmth of that moment now. The smell of fresh herbs, the clink of a fork against a plate. You're not just rebuilding belief, you're planting it like a seed. Each small act waters it, strengthens it. You're learning that belief isn't about what you've lost, but what you still have and what you can still create. As you move forward, you'll find that belief isn't enough on its own. It needs action to grow. You're walking through a park now, the crunch of gravel under your shoes a steady rhythm in the crisp morning air. Each step feels like a choice, a quiet rebellion against the way of the past. At 63, after a divorce, you might feel like life is unraveled, but here's where you weave it back together. Not with grand plans, but with small, disciplined actions. Dr. B.J. Fogg, in his book Tiny Habits, said, "Change is created by the smallest of actions, repeated consistently. You're not rebuilding your life in a day. You're building it one intentional step at a time." Discipline sounds rigid, like a schedule carved in stone, but it's softer than that. It's the choice to get up, make your bed, and feel the crisp sheets under your hands as a signal that you're in control. Neuroscience backs this up. Fogg's research, alongside studies from Stanford, shows that small, consistent actions rewire your brain, strengthening neural pathways tied to positive emotions. After divorce, your days might feel empty, like a house with too many quiet rooms. So you fill them. Maybe you start with a 10-minute walk each morning, the breeze brushing your face, or you write one sentence in a journal, the pen gliding across the page. These aren't just tasks. They're proof you're moving forward. Here's a historical truth. In the 1970s, as divorce became more common in Western societies, researchers noticed that people who established new routines after separation, simple things like regular exercise or hobbies, reported lower stress levels within 6 months. Those routines weren't flashy. They were lifelines. You're not just walking through this park. You're carving a path. And here's a curious tidbit. In ancient Rome, some divorce agreements included clauses about daily responsibilities, like who would maintain the household garden. Even back then, people knew that small tasks could anchor you through upheaval. You, too, can find stability in the ordinary, watering a plant, feeling the soil between your fingers, or brewing tea just the way you like it. Academics still argue over whether routine or spontaneity better fosters emotional recovery after major life changes. A 2001 study from the University of Chicago found that disciplined habits, even as simple as making a daily to-do list, help people over 60 regain a sense of agency after loss. You don't need to pick a side. Just choose one action today. Maybe it's setting a timer for 5 minutes to stretch, your muscles warming with each movement, or cooking a meal that fills your kitchen with a scent of garlic and comfort. Feel that park beneath your feet now, the ground solid and sure. Each step is a commitment to yourself, a promise that you're not just surviving, you're shaping what comes next. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, and as you keep showing up, you'll find that these small actions are building something bigger, a vision for who you can become. You're sitting at a small wooden table now, a notebook open before you, its pages blank but brimming with possibility. The scent of ink and paper mixes with the faint hum of the world outside, a world that, at 63, feels both unfamiliar and full potential after your divorce. You're not just picking up the pieces. You're sketching a new map for your life. Dr. Viktor Frankl, in a profound work Man's Search for Meaning, wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." This is your moment to define a new purpose, to paint a vision that's yours alone. Purpose isn't a lightning bolt. It's more like a quiet current, flowing to the things that make your heart stir. After divorce, the life you planned may have dissolved, but that doesn't mean you're adrift. Research from the Journal of Positive Psychology in 2010 showed that people over 60 who actively sought new meaning after major life transitions, like divorce, reported higher life satisfaction within a year. You start by asking yourself, what makes you feel alive? Maybe it's the way your hands move when you garden, dirt under your nails, or the satisfaction of teaching someone a skill you've honed over decades. Write it down. That's your compass. Here's a historical nugget. In the 1980s, as divorce rates climbed among older adults in the U.S., studies found that those who pursued new goals, whether learning a craft or volunteering, often felt a renewed sense of identity within months. You're not replacing the past. You're building on it, using the wisdom of your years to guide you. And here's something peculiar. In medieval Europe, some widowed or separated women joined lay religious communities, not out of devotion, but to create a new purpose through service and learning. They didn't have the word reinvention, but they lived it. You, too, can redefine what drives you. Maybe it's mentoring a younger colleague or finally writing that story you've carried in your mind for years. Scholars still debate whether purpose in later life stems more from personal passion or social contribution. A 1995 study from the University of Wisconsin suggested that older adults who combine personal interests with community involvement, like joining a book club or teaching class, felt the deepest sense of fulfillment. You don't need to settle that argument. Just try something small. Sign up for that pottery workshop. Feel the clay spin under your fingers, or volunteer at a local shelter, hearing the gratitude in someone's voice. Each choice is a brushstroke in your new vision. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of the pen in your hand, the texture of the paper. You're not just writing a list. You're drafting a future. Purpose doesn't mean solving the world's problems. It means knowing why you get up each morning. And as you define that, you'll find the strength to embrace what comes next, a life built on gratitude and adaptability. You're standing in your kitchen now, the faint scent of fresh lemons on the counter mingling with the warmth of sunlight streaming through the window. At 63, after the upheaval of divorce, you're learning to find joy in the small things, a moment of stillness, the tang of citrus on your fingers. This is where gratitude takes root, not as a forced smile, but as a quiet choice to notice what's still good. Dr. Robert Emmons, in his book Thanks, wrote, "Gratitude is a way of seeing that alters our gaze. You're not ignoring the pain of loss. You're choosing to see the light that remains. Gratitude is like a muscle strengthened through practice. After divorce, the world can feel heavy, like a coat you can't shrug off. But Emmons' research, backed by studies from the University of California, shows that people who regularly practice gratitude, writing down 3 things they're thankful for each day, see measurable improvements in emotional well-being within weeks. Try it now. Notice the warmth of your mug, the sound of birds outside, or the way your breath feels steady and sure. These aren't grand moments. They're anchors, and adaptability, that ability to bend without breaking, grows alongside gratitude. It's the choice to say, this isn't what I planned, but I'll find a way. Here's a historical truth. In the 1990s, as divorce rates for older adults rose in Western countries, studies from the American Psychological Association found that those who embraced gratitude practices, like journaling or reflecting on positive moments, adapted more quickly to their new lives. They didn't just survive. They found new ways to thrive, like flowers pushing through cracks in concrete. And here's a quirky detail. In 18th century France, some divorced or widowed women kept gratitude diaries to cope with social stigma, noting small joys like a shared meal or a kind word. It wasn't therapy as we know it, but it worked. You, too, can find power in the simple act of noticing a neighbor's smile, the crunch of leaves underfoot, or the satisfaction of a task well done. Scholars still debate whether gratitude fosters adaptability or if adaptable people are naturally more grateful. A 2003 study from the University of Miami suggested that gratitude practices in older adults led to greater flexibility in facing life changes, like divorce. You don't need to resolve that debate. Just try it. Write down one thing today that made you smile. Feel the pen move across the page, and let that small act remind you that life still holds beauty. Step outside now. Feel the breeze on your skin, the world alive around you. Gratitude and adaptability aren't about erasing the past. They're about building a bridge to what's next. You're learning to bend, to grow, to find joy in unexpected places. And as you do, you're preparing for strength that comes from resilience, the kind that will carry you forward. You're sitting on a park bench now, the wood worn smooth beneath you, the distant hum of life blending with the rustle of leaves overhead. At 63, divorce has left its mark, like a storm that's reshaped the landscape of your life. But here, in this quiet moment, you're discovering something powerful: resilience. It's not about bouncing back to who you were. It's about growing into someone stronger. Dr. George Bonanno, in his book The Other Side of Sadness, wrote, "Resilience is not the absence of pain, but the ability to move through it. You're not defined by what you've lost, but by what you learn from it. Resilience is built in the small, stubborn choices to keep going. After divorce, the weight of grief or uncertainty can feel like carrying a backpack full of stones. But Bonanno's research, rooted in decades of studying grief and recovery, shows that people who embrace learning from setbacks, like journaling about lessons or seeking new experiences, often find growth after trauma. You might start by reflecting on one thing this experience has taught you. Maybe it's patience or the courage to be alone. You sit on this bench, feeling the breeze, and realize solitude doesn't scare you as much anymore. That's resilience taking root. Here's a historical truth. In the early 2000s, studies of older adults navigating divorce, conducted by the University of Michigan, found that those who actively sought new skills or hobbies, like painting or volunteering, showed significant emotional growth within a year. Learning wasn't just a distraction, it was a lifeline. You're not just filling time, you're forging a new path. And here's something odd. In ancient Japan, samurai who faced personal crises, like the loss of status, often turned to Zen practices to rebuild their sense of self. They'd sit in silence, much like you're doing now, to find clarity through reflection. You can do the same, maybe not Zen, but a quiet walk, a moment of meditation, or learning something new, like how to bake bread, the dough soft under your hands. Scholars still debate whether resilience is innate or learned. A 2006 study from Columbia University suggested that older adults who engage in reflective practices, like writing about their experiences, develop stronger coping skills after major life changes. You don't need to settle the argument. Just try something small today. Read a chapter or book, feel the pages turn, or take a class, the teacher's voice sparking curiosity. Each step teaches you something new about yourself. Feel the bench beneath you, solid and steady. The world keeps moving, and so do you. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about learning to rebuild. Every lesson you learn, every moment you choose to grow, is proof of your strength. And as you rise from this bench, you'll carry that strength toward a future defined by courage. You're standing at the edge of Quiet Hill now, the horizon stretching wide before you, painted in hues of gold and soft purple as the sun begins to set. At 63, after the storm of divorce, you've walked through pain, doubt, and reinvention. You've reshaped your mind, rebuilt your belief, found discipline in small steps, crafted a new purpose, embraced gratitude, and learned resilience. Now, you stand here not as someone broken, but as someone whole, brimming with courage. Dr. Brené Brown, in her book Daring Greatly, said, "Vulnerability is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. You face the raw edges of your heart, and that bravery is your triumph. Courage doesn't roar. It's the quiet choice to keep going, to step into the unknown with your head high." Brown's research, grounded in years of studying vulnerability and shame, shows that people who embrace their imperfections after major life changes, like divorce, find deeper strength and connection. You're not hiding from the cracks in your story. You're letting them shine, like light through stained glass. Maybe it's the way you laugh now, freer than before, or how you share your story with a friend, your voice steady over a cup of tea. Each moment of courage builds a life that's yours. Here's a historical truth. In the 2010s, studies from the University of Chicago found that older adults who faced divorce and chose to engage with their communities through volunteering or social groups reported higher levels of self-confidence within 2 years. Courage wasn't just personal. It was shared, built in the act of showing up. You're part of that legacy, standing on this hill, ready to claim your place. And here's a strange detail. In the 1920s, some divorced women, in the U.S. joined dance halls, not just for fun, but to reclaim their independence in a society that judged them. They twirled under dim lights, defiant and alive. You, too, can dance. Maybe not literally, but in the way you say yes to life, whether trying a new recipe, the kitchen filled with the scent of fresh bread, or speaking up a room, your words carrying the weight of your wisdom. Scholars still debate whether courage drives personal growth, or if growth fosters courage. A 2012 study from the University of Texas suggested that older adults who took risks, like starting a new career or hobby post-divorce, experienced significant boosts in life satisfaction. You don't need to settle that debate. Just take one bold step. Sign up for that trip. Feel the suitcase wheels rolling behind you, or share your truth with someone, the words warm in your throat. Courage is your legacy now. As the sun dips lower, feel the breeze on your face, soft and steady. You are not the same person you were before. You're stronger, not because the pain is gone, but because you've walked through it. Your life is a canvas, and every choice, every moment of clarity, belief, discipline, purpose, gratitude, resilience, and courage adds a stroke of color. You're not just surviving. You're creating a masterpiece. And now, as you stand here, let the world slow down. The sky glows softer. The air feels lighter. You've learned to carry your story, not as a burden, but as a light. This isn't the end, it's a beginning. You have the wisdom of 63 years, the courage of someone who's faced loss and kept walking. Step forward now, into the life you're building. The horizon is yours, vast and open. Take a deep breath. Feel your heart steady and strong. You are enough, and you are ready.